the Board of Trustees for the Village of Dansville to order. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. There will be some minor changes as we go along in the agenda that got added, but I didn't get a chance before I left today to get a good copy to Megan. So anyway, as all of you are aware, you should have the first three set of minutes. The second set, the fourth set and the fifth set are still incomplete. So I would ask for a motion to approve the local law 2015 public hearing minutes for April 8th and the budget public hearing minutes on April 8th, as well as the organizational meeting minutes for April 8th. So that was Trustee Humphrey.
I'll second.
Second by Trustee Rittenhouse. Any corrections, additions, deletions?
I have one correction on the organizational meeting minutes in reference to the mileage. You quoted using the 2011 figures. Mm-hmm. So I'll just bring that up today.
Okay.
It's like 56 cents a mile.
Yeah, something like that. Okay.
I think it's the right amount, but it's the wrong year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just a typo on my part. I admit to that. Okay. Anything else? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Privilege of the floor. Kevin Keenan. That must be you.
Yeah, I'll be real quick because I noticed you have 3 pages of notes here to take. I'll hand this information out. I believe I sent you in an email probably some of these resources, but it's good to have them. All right, so my name's Kevin Keenan, and I work for Roswell Park. We're funded through the New York State Department of Health, and we cover 4 counties working with landlords, property managers, municipal clerks, mayors, boards, and probably missing a couple. We also work with retailers, all for tobacco-free policies and ordinances in our communities. Like I said, 4 counties, the Glow region. And so I'm here tonight just to share a little bit about tobacco-free. Like, I notice your municipal grounds here there's a policy in place, which I wasn't aware of, but I'm here about the parks in your community, adopting a tobacco-free park for your community, or parks, recreational areas. So before I go into the reasons or the benefits of doing that, I want to see most municipalities have questions regarding compliance and enforcement. And what we can do is provide free signage. Most municipalities, over 400 of them, have adopted tobacco-free parks and playgrounds. And I have a list here. I think there's 300 and something on this list. But in your county, in Livingston County, it's on the 3rd page in the back, or the 4th page rather. I highlighted it for you. So in Livingston County, as you know, all parks, county-owned parks, any county-owned leased properties, campus grounds are tobacco-free. In Mount Morris, the Al Lorenz Park is 100% tobacco-free. Town of Livonia, Village of Geneseo. I put the Village of Lima in a copy of their policy, so in case I'm hoping that you would adopt the policy, but you could just use that as a template. I could send it to you in an email, and that way you could basically put your information, your town logo, etc. on there to make it easier. So some other parks, playgrounds, Village of Nunday, the Town of Geneseo, and like I said, the Village of Lima. So I'll give that to you. What are some of the things? I am always a little reserved coming to board meetings because people think I'm the smoking Nazi and anti-smoker. But when I got into this grant for the last 8 years, we've had it with Roswell Park just for the last 8 months. But I've been working with tobacco control in the New York State Department of Health for about 8 years. When I got into it, I realized that we all know smoking is not good for you, but the negative impact to lives that are lost every year, and the financial impact to everybody's life if you pay taxes. That's a big if, right? But out of each taxpayer's pocket comes about $858 in Livingston County to pay for smoking-related illnesses in New York State. It's about $8.5 billion to the Medicaid system. So it's for people who are dying from smoking and they can't afford it. The average person can't afford cancer treatments and all that, and people who are dying from emphysema, COPD, lung cancer, which is astronomical, right? So out of your pocket every year comes about $858. What we're hoping to do in the New York State Department of Health is to bring the number of smoking adults, of course young people, to bring it down to 10%. Right now in New York State it's about 16.2%. So to bring it down to 10%, which is a huge, would be a huge step in the right direction. So that would decrease the number of adults that are smoking and going into the hospital at the age of, say, 50, 60 years old, sometimes younger, dying from smoking. So what does that have to do with the parks? Well, when a community adopts a tobacco-free park, which is a family-friendly area where kids go play baseball, soccer, or have a picnic, you're telling the community, we care about the community, we care about your health. Now, I'm not a person, I'm sure most of you aren't either, that wants government intrusion, like, do you need to tell us what to do? And like I said, it's not a matter of telling somebody what to do. You already have on the books, don't litter, right? Walking your dog, you can only make sure you have a leash on your dog, maybe a nuisance law, noise law, that kind of thing. So this is not a law, it's not an ordinance, it's a policy, and it's voluntary. I say voluntary, meaning you still have to abide by it, but the compliance is, word of mouth, signs are up. There's no fines attached unless, of course, you wanted to do that. And like I said, in small communities, you generally don't do that. So I think I shared enough in a nutshell. There are good benefits from doing it down the road. Excuse me. Any questions as far as, adopting the policy? Any questions about compliance and enforcement?
How did the other communities enforce that?
Most of the communities that we've worked with are voluntary compliance. They put up the signs. The city of Batavia, where we have an office, they did this in 2011 for their 12 parks. And the main park that a lot of people hang out with is Austin Park. And I still get people saying, hey, they're still smoking in the park. And I said, yeah, I'm sure there's people smoking. So when we have the I've called the city and said, do you want more signs? And they're like, no, I think we have enough signs. I think they have 3 signs for a pretty good-sized park. So basically, it's the people in the community. Some municipalities have adopted like code enforcement or public works or can't remember, not the police, but another. Yeah, I think it's public works, code enforcement, to kind of monitor it and get feedback from the community, how many people are smoking. If you can imagine, in 2011, we asked some kids to come with us during Earth Day, and we picked up butts just for an hour and a half in 2 parks, Austin Park and another park. They picked up 5 containers this big, about that wide, about that big, of cigarette butts. And it was just like, it really was. We were wearing gloves. It was kind of disgusting. And we showed them to the city council, 5 of them. And that was in an hour and a half, and they have 11 parks, so I can only imagine how many cigarette butts we picked up. So that's another matter. I'm not going to get into the environmental impact, because a lot of these arguments that they try to make are not as really, the secondhand smoke, people are outside, For me, it's personally, I'm looking at the health impact to communities and the financial impact and the sense of community. So, all right, I have my 5 minutes. Any other questions?
Thank you.
No? Okay.
Thank you very much.
So I have a sign here. They're much larger. They're larger than this, but we can give those to you free. We don't give you the posts. That doesn't help. That doesn't help you. But they're about 14 by 17 the size, and I'll send you a form. You can order different types of.
Said it's free, huh?
Yeah, they're free.
Okay.
So for like an average park, say 4 or 5 signs. Yeah. Actually,
I have it on this garage tomorrow.
Is it possible, like within the month, maybe that we get some feedback saying yes, we're interested?
Yeah, we won't likely
Yeah.
act on it this evening.
Oh yeah, I understand.
But by next month's meeting, we
Okay.
can probably tell you which way
Yeah,
it's
just
going.
so because we report to my contract manager in Rochester and then the New York State Department of Health.
I know, and I can't speak for
Yeah,
board members here. I just can tell you what we've done in the past.
Yeah.
Is that the board has been reluctant to put up any more restrictive type
Yeah.
signage. And but we did put signage around the playground equipment down in Babcock Park,
yeah.
where there are going to be children.
Well, now it's New York State law around a playground,
Mhm.
if you see in your handout there. So playgrounds where kids 12 and under are playing, it
Mhm.
has to be tobacco-free.
Yeah.
Yeah, what does the sign look like?
Our
So
area
it's got a
check-
heart on it? Was it
It's got a heart. It says "Breathe easy," so that's shouldn't irritate anybody too much. It just has some non-smoking type signs. It says "Please don't smoke or litter." That's all.
Yeah.
It's not say "Don't smoke"
Yeah, no. I have 3 sisters that
or
smoke.
you'll go to jail.
2 brothers that don't. I never smoked. My brothers never did. Neither did my parents. But my 3 sisters started smoking. But they know what and they're quitting actually now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're in their 40s, so they're healthy. So, thank you.
You gotta catch up with the men.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you very much. Anybody want to take a look at it? Okay, I do not see Joyce or Ashley, so we'll go to Penny. Got the floor.
Hey, I wanted that.
Penny Bovee.
Good evening. I'd like to address the board and thank you for letting me be able to talk to you. I think I need to have you correct my name though, because legally and on my homeowners, my home, my taxes and such, it's Francis Bovee, so I'm legally Francis.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I'm calling you and asking you to consider doing something to help me with the sewer issue that's up there. I've been there 15 years, and every year it seems like, an enormous amount of money has been put in having Mr. Longany come up and fix sewer problems because the pipe there has an issue, because it has to be connected to go over to Sewer Street. And I'm asking if you could please consider, I first heard about something being considered for the Castle on the Hill. That's great, and I think maybe more people would move up there, and maybe Mrs. Seiler would consider even extending that, homes maybe possibly going up there. If we could put a sewer line down Austin Street. And then I'm going to ask you, I did ask Mr. Tracy to please come and to give his professionalism as far as if that could be done, and if you would please consider.
Well, Scott, this seems like a golden opportunity to step up and tell them what your plans are.
Well,
But no, not this year.
Oh, sugar, come on. I've got stuff in my basement because, it's sad. You got to be able to, and there's an issue, of course, with the foxes in our resident. But that's dirty laundry, but I'm asking to help. So please, I've got to get that pipe fixed, and I'm not going to put in another new driveway for asphalt, if that'll help.
Well, right now hers goes through the neighbor's yard and down on Sewer Street Extension and down to Seward. I don't know where the Castle on the Hill is going to end up, but it would be feasible to come. There's a right-of-way next to Dave Hotchkiss' house, run a sewer main up into that property and then right straight across to her house. It wouldn't be too hard to do that. And also at that point, water also. So that would be my plan going forward. How fast that would happen, it's up to you guys.
how much would that cost?
I'd have to measure it, and it wouldn't be too
General
bad of a job.
idea.
General idea?
Yeah.
If we did it, you're really putting me on the spot,
Yes, we are.
We were told you were an expert.
Imagine this is about to put us on the spot, Scott.
Yvonne said that, but come on, sugar.
The distance is a problem. I really don't know how far it is, but I'd say
Say 150 yards.
15,000 probably for the sewer line. Water would be a whole other issue.
More.
Water would be more.
Water's more than sewer.
Yeah. Well, probably Fox's and hers, and then also Hall's up on the top.
Yeah, and
The
Mrs.
Silers, goes,
Silas goes right down,
Oh,
they're all
right
set.
down to.
But it would also
What's the
be
problem?
there for the castle.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about it, the problem.
Oh, yeah.
It's been an ongoing problem. There's a private line that runs across the yards. That's what
And
you're
it's
looking at.
collapsed, yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Longani took and got a little camera thing and stuck it in there and.
So
showed-
private line.
She
technically,
has to dig up her neighbor's yard is the issue
yeah.
at this point to fix her line. Hers is collapsed on his property.
yeah. Technically,
Kinda
right
sticks down
now, we
around.
have no responsibility for that line.
It's a private line.
It's a private line.
We repaired it, it was always an issue.
Yeah.
Down where it ties in, it's sewer, it was collapsed, we fixed that a couple years back.
Right, and
last
see,
year.
and my monies went into fixing that because we shared it 3 ways.
You guys repaired it.
You know, I mean,
over
my
and over.
money's always done something to help everybody else, but now here I'm left high and dry.
The intent was, at least when we were originally talking, was when we redid Seward Street Extension, which we were always told was private. Turned out it wasn't. That we were going to redo that, and there were different options. I think Scott had looked at that time, going down, I think, Costin, wasn't it?
Right.
Yeah. So,
That would have hookups, potentially could have hookups if it would go to the castle too? 'cause
yes.
But we'd have to get permission and an easement from Crow to go across, which I don't think that would be an issue.
Oh, no, I know, Dan.
So,
So it's doable, except the money.
that's where it's,
So we probably ended up there, right?
pardon?
It's probably always ended up there. Where are you going to get the money from?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, initially it was because there were other projects we had to take care of first, so it's on the list of things that we're looking at. It'll be part of the capital plan.
I didn't realize the option was there. I didn't even realize there was a right-of-way by Dave Hotchkiss' house. So that makes it, I would stay away from Austin at that point because really there's nothing there. You know, you could take care of King's Daughters with it if you needed to because it would be going right by.
See?
But it would be an easier task to go across that hill.
So would you run all like right down underneath Austin?
Go right across
Or
Austin.
Seward Extension? And then right straight out behind
I wouldn't take it
Hotchkiss's?
that far. I mean, we would take it probably just to Penny's house and Fox's and stop, because the line's okay for the other 2 houses on the other end. So just leave those
Help
alone.
fix it. Now it's time to fix the.
Or if you want a really good number, I can do that. And you can decide, I guess, which way to go. But she's got a problem now. I don't know how long that, seems like Joe comes up, it lasts for what, 6 months?
Mhm.
So,
And the water.
I think
Oh, go ahead.
that's something, I think probably get some facts and let us see what it looks like and take it from there.
Get some solid numbers.
Yeah, right.
Could you include the water with that too, Scott? Because they would go in the same
well,
ditch.
it would have to be separated.
Oh,
Point.
no, I mean in the same trench or whatever you want.
At the same time.
Yeah.
There'd have to be a separation between the 2 pipes. They can't go
Yeah.
in the same ditch.
Right, yeah.
Is there a problem with the water line right now, or just if you?
Yes, there is a huge, yes, it's a 2-inch line, it's in bad shape. So, the water line would actually have to go down and tie into Seward Street eventually. That would be the plan when we redid the road. Now, you could bring it up now if you wanted to stop, and then continue later, you could do that.
Enough pressure?
Pardon?
Enough pressure to go up that hill?
Oh, yeah. Well, it'd actually be coming back down also, because it'd be feeding
Understood.
the loop then.
Maybe we can get the facts for both water and sewer.
Yeah.
We need that.
Take a look at it and see what the budget shows.
At least it's a start, at least a thought.
At least we know about it now.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't
sure.
have any idea.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thanks.
You can stay or you can go, it's up to you.
I just never saw you could stay. You can
I
go.
was just thinking the same thing.
All right, I'll go. I've been working since 5, so thank you for your time.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Are you coming tomorrow? Yeah, tomorrow's Wednesday. I'm scared to go later.
Okay, now I have no mayor's comments or correspondence. Move on to committee reports. Legislative. Action list update. Trustee, village clerk.
No change from last week.
Okay.
Does everybody now have the foil draft?
Yes.
Foil policy? So we'll just, does anybody have any questions at this point? We just hold off and then put that on for vote next month. There's no big rush. Make sure everybody's had a chance to read it. If you've got any changes or questions or anything, make sure you get them to me for next meeting. Alrighty. And we've had another request, I believe, for a peddler's permit, Megan? Someone called yesterday, was it?
Did you get an email?
I have not, well, I think I did see one.
Yeah,
I didn't have a chance to read
yeah,
it.
wait for the email, I guess.
I'm beginning to think we might want to put a hold on permits at this point in time.
I'll second that.
We need to take a good hard look. As I mentioned last week, you got a lot of people in this community who pay taxes, and then to have somebody come in and work around them without having to make the investment in the community doesn't seem right. Now, I don't object to people coming into town, but I think there ought to be some sort of a compensation for them having the opportunity to come in here and compete with our people, and that should be a level playing field, which we ought to look at a fee. I mean, straight. I'm not looking to make money, but I'm just saying there's, what's fair is fair. Local businessmen shouldn't have to compete with somebody who's getting it for free. I don't care if it's a hot dog stand or if it's a vacuum cleaner salesman or what, or insurance or anything like that.
Is there a fee, or maybe the chief can answer this, is there a ticket that can be issued if someone is out peddling things and they're not? And if we catch them on the first time, do we issue that?
The first time we make them aware of what the circumstances are, to come down and get their permit. Then the second time we check it out. If it's the same crew again.
Is that say in there that they need to be given a warning? Because I think most people that go door to door know that you're supposed to stop in with most town clerks and village clerks and check on that. Most people that are speeding through our village or whatever, we don't stop and wait until they do it a second time. I think it's in violation. How do you know what they've already incurred as a gain without the proper channels? I mean, that's just my 2 cents is we don't. If they're in violation of that law, then I think that they should be ticketed if they haven't done it right, because most of these companies that go door to door,
They come in for overnight, come in, get out,
and they've made their gains.
That's right.
Without.
Yeah, well, right now we have nothing that tells them they have to pay anything for that right to work here, to make money here. And I would propose we table it or put it on hold at this point for the next number of months, perhaps, so we have a chance to look at the law as it currently stands and to make revisions to it or rewrite it all together. To include, and do some research, not just throw something together, but do some research on what other communities are doing.
I feel if a person wants to come into our community and set up a business, we have plenty of storefronts out here that they're welcome to rent a space, and I don't care if they're only here for a month or 2 months. At least they're
Paying rent.
So
Which goes back to comes to us in
that's
taxes.
my feelings. Yeah.
You need a motion to table that, Mayor? Is that what you wanted to do?
Just to put the law on hold for a month, or however many months we want to do it.
Was there someone?
The issuance of permits is what I'm saying.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry?
Was there a peddler's permit that someone wanted?
I had somebody inquire on the process, and I just gave the mayor's
and
email
I've got
address.
an email on there that I didn't read today. It came in today, but I haven't
I'd like
had
to
a
make a
chance
motion to table the motion on the peddler's permit.
So we'll,
You're going to put a moratorium on?
be a moratorium. No peddlers until, for how long? 6 months?
6 months.
3 months?
6.
6 months. Okay, I have a motion. Second?
I'll second.
Second, trustee Humphrey.
Study that.
Okay. Any further discussion, comments?
That will exclude the one that we just approved.
We never issued that.
Never issued it?
Mm-mm. So they don't know they have it or
I
have
think
it.
that there was a board resolution in the last meeting.
Yeah.
Put on hold.
Mhm. So we'll just throw that in the mix.
Okay. Just for clarification.
Okay, trustee Humphrey.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye or
Aye.
nay?
Aye.
Good recovery. Trustee Rittenhouse. Trustee Labar.
Aye.
And trustee Whitnack.
Aye.
Mayor's an aye. Okay. Moving right along. Let's see. Just that this next item, the Financial Policies Procedures Manual, that's just part of the effort here to update our processes here in the building to get us in line with what the audits has complained about for the last several years. I just got that more as a reminder that that's still on the docket. I'm still working on it. Hopefully another month, I'll have it finished. As I mentioned last week, we have 3 new applications to vote on for the Community Development Block Grant. Let's see if I put them down here or not.
Yes.
Yeah, they're under new business, so we won't need to take any action at this point. And I'd like to set up a date to start our budgeting process with the strategic plan review. Probably next month. Start it in the new year, June. That okay with everybody? I think the sooner we start looking at things, like last year, we started the process early, it worked out good. This year we'll refine it a little bit more. And,
You want to set that date now?
why don't we? And if you need to change, we always can, but at least this will get us focused. We can do it before our next regular meeting if you want. That's not a problem.
Is that the 16th?
Let's see, be June 16th. We can come in at 6 o'clock. We don't have to have anything resolved that evening. Like everything. Yeah. How about you, Dick?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go with 6 o'clock then on the 16th.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make it good for me.
Okay. And next item. We can probably fit in the multi-year capital and financial planning at that point as well. Again, I'm not looking at a lot of detail that night. This will just get us focused, so we'll include that right in there. And I do have an agreement. You have not seen it yet, so there's no point in even trying to vote on it yet. We can maybe do it at the next... I'm trying to remember the date it's due. We had just got it the other day. Didn't give us a lot of time to think about it. It's the annual contract with the Economic Development Group down in Geneseo. It's for $4,000. We pay into it we have been paying into it every year. We can hold on tonight if you want. It's part of the process that we have to join this in order to get the monies, like for the downtown grant program improvement, as well as the sign and facade programs and anything else they come up with. There's some training sessions and things like that. If we provide this money, we've always gotten back more money than we've put in as far as grants go for businesses here in the town. So it's been a pretty good deal so far. I don't know, do you want to vote on it tonight or do you want to wait?
What is it? It's $4,000? And it's something
Yeah,
that we every
I
year?
think it's budgeted, right? Isn't that in the budget?
Make a
Yeah.
motion. Motion, we do it?
Okay.
I'll second.
Right, we have a motion from trustee Rittenhouse and a second from trustee Humphrey to approve the downtown partnership agreement with the county. Do I have see, I already got the second. Any discussion? Not hearing any. Trustee Whitenack?
Aye.
Trustee Labar?
Aye.
Trustee Rittenhouse?
Aye.
Trustee Humphrey?
Aye.
And the mayor's an aye as well. Thank you. And with that, I'll turn it over to Trustee Whitenack for public safety, unless the clerk has something she wants to add.
No, not at this time, thanks.
Okay. Wait till we get down to budget, finance, and audit, huh?
Okay, Danny?
Yeah. Know what you want me to say at this point? You have my report. Did anybody have any questions?
Was there an update on the pets in the village?
She did give that to me. I have not gotten
I know
that
I
to you.
gave it
so-
to everybody in every one of your mailboxes.
So you may have it in your folder.
Okay.
Yep.
I highlighted what exactly wordage we currently have in all residential zone districts in the village of Dansville. That's the agricultural district, the LR, which is low density residential, LR2, low density residential 2, and high density residential. Those are our residential neighborhoods in the zone district in the village of Dansville, and what our current zoning law says on what animals you can have. And it says, even in the agricultural zone districts, you cannot have livestock. Livestock being defined as, it's down there.
Sheep.
Cows, chickens, horses, pig, sheep. It even has reindeer, alpaca, llama, and something.
I like the camel.
Yes, yes.
Just can't be a smoking camel.
Not in the park.
So, that's what our current zoning is. It says you can't, even in an agricultural zone district in the village of Dansville, you can't have livestock of that nature. We have, both Mayor Boat and I have determined we do have that in the village of Dansville, so if the board wishes me to go forward with something, I would like the board to tell me that, because I'm not going to voluntarily do that. Because the two places that the mayor and I know of that have livestock, I actually didn't find them or see them myself. I was told that by someone else, so I'm not going to voluntarily cite them when I haven't seen it myself.
I'll take care of two of them anyway.
So if the board wants me to do that, direct me to do so, and I will. But since I physically haven't seen it myself, I can't just go ahead and do it myself.
Any news on her car?
Next item. The chief had not
I think there'll be
I missed something?
I think there'll be a conversation between the code officer and the mayor in regards to moving forward on that item.
Actually, I think the chief was the one who was
No,
not.
we're talking about animals. Weren't you talking about animals? And the mayor's moving forward.
Shouldn't the board make a stand on it one way or another, that either enforcement or support it or not?
I'll take care of the two cases I'm aware of on that.
I don't write violation letters on something I haven't seen with my own eyes.
Yeah.
If I don't have a picture of it, I don't write a violation letter on it.
I have confessions, so that's I'll take care of.
So,
Suit him up, chief.
Yep.
Anything on the car?
That's what I was talking about, the car.
Chief said
I thought we had
he
the car.
needed the five of you to say yes, and I can have it tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, we're all set. The car down here at Wentworth, the 209, MPAL is good to go. They're holding it for us.
Very nice.
So the $8,500, test drove it, seems good to go. So,
Did we have any independent mechanic look at it to make sure it was good?
nope.
Brakes.
Are we gonna, what color is it?
White.
Are we gonna letter it, code enforcement, all that?
What's that say?
It needs to be.
Well, I think that
Should be
the rest of the Dansville vehicles are all
Yeah.
lettered and everything
Yep.
to show it's an official vehicle. I would like to see it,
I would suggest we go with just a magnet.
I would like to see it lettered with plastic, that way it can't be taken off and used. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think we use any of our village vehicles or anything are magnetized, are they? I think they're all stickers so that they can't be taken off and the vehicle used for something it shouldn't be. So I like the idea of it being stickered.
Yep.
That's my statement on that.
It lessens the
I'd
appearance of
also like to
impropriety.
see I'd also like to see a neighbor light on it.
Investigative purposes, if it wasn't permanently lettered, but the choice is not to have it available for those resources as well.
I think at this point, we're purchasing it for a code enforcement vehicle. I would like to see it lettered with permanent stickers.
Would you like to make that in form of a motion?
I'll make that motion that we purchase the 2009 Impala from Wentworth, or is it 8,500? For 8,500, and have it, and find out how much it's going to cost us, and I don't know what the allotment would be, but to allot the money to have it stickered, to say, have the Dansville emblem put on it, along with code enforcement.
I also would like to see an amber light on it. When it's in service, I'd like to see the light working.
I've never had a light on a vehicle,
Well,
so I don't know.
yeah, something new.
What's everyone's take on that?
I don't have an opinion, I don't really know what's
Well,
standard or typical in other communities.
If it's in service, it's being used in service, the light should be running.
So anytime she's driving around with it, we should have an amber light on.
Well, I mean, it's...
Talking roadside or something.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Street
Right.
side.
When I'm pulled over on the side of the street looking at something.
Is that something that's industry standard?
I can tell you when, like in March, when we go to code school and there's 350 code officers from around the state there, and they all have their village or town vehicles, half of them have an amber light on them, half of them do not.
I think
It's not
I think
standard, it's
I would
just-
add into the motion to put a light on there for safety. We can look to see what we can find for.
I have a flashlight with yellow lens.
Is this a
You'll be the operator?
light or a
I would like to see a rear window mounted light,
light or?
whatever we can find to make a light work. I don't know. Starsky and Hutch worked with one.
Magnetic.
Let's go find Fozzie
There are
Bear.
times it could be very useful. Where I was parked on Battle Street today. It's not a parking spot, it would have been helpful.
Yeah.
Huggy Bear, sorry.
Huggy, not Fozzie.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Second.
Any further discussion before this gets out of control?
We're going to give back at least information relative to the amber light before we proceed with that.
I would say yes.
Yes. Bring information on the amber light next month. And Chief, one other thing on that, did you ever discuss with them about a trade-in with the old car?
No, I think we are probably pushing our luck with the price we got. Anything we can get on, whatever that car is worth, it's worth more as a straight-out sale than on a trade-in. That's my belief. So I think if we were to trade it in, we might get $500, but if we sell it outright, we might get $750. So I think we're further ahead to sell it outright than to trade it in.
That's for the water and sewer line up Charleston Street.
And there was when I stood there was quite a lengthy conversation in the back room. Like I said, initially the car was $10,600. They had it on sale that week for $96,000. And after 20 minutes of waiting, they come up with $85,000. They go for it. So
You don't want to push it.
I think we didn't push it far enough.
Does that car, does that go up for, just an ad in the paper that we take bids on it, or how does that
Didn't
work?
you guys, like 2 months ago,
Yeah,
Well, we
tried to
did
auction it?
authorize it for auction, but we held off.
Yeah, right.
We can still go back out for auction.
Thrown in an auction. More auctions.
Can we run it through the Tuesday night auction?
Can we vote on the motion, Mayor?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a motion on the floor.
We'll worry about the car afterwards.
So my motion was to purchase the vehicle at Wentworth for the $8,500. And put the sticker and the signage on it, permanent, for the code enforcement officer, and then bring back information next month on a couple of amber lights.
A couple options for
A
amber
couple of
lights, that's what
options
you
for amber
want.
lights.
Okay.
Yes, that's my motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we already had the second.
Well, that's right.
Yeah. We already had the discussion. Now I need the vote. Trustee Whitenack.
Aye.
Trustee Labar.
Aye.
Trustee Rittenhouse.
Aye.
Trustee Humphrey.
Aye.
Mayor's an aye. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I don't want to hear any more about a car other than
It's running great.
that's exactly right.
It has air conditioning and heat and everything.
Well, I'll go overboard.
Knock on particle board.
Be happy it just goes down the street and back without having to have it towed.
Yes.
Well, the fire department.
Did you guys want to talk about fuel truck also?
Yeah.
Why don't you update us on that? I know you've talked to me about it already.
I already gave, that's also was put in your mailboxes. In regards to overnight parking of the Valley Fuel Truck, I went down and spoke to the owner of Valley Fuel, and he said his trucks are not allowed to go home with their employees at night. And the two of the style trucks that Mayor Boyd pointed out what he saw there were at a third-party mechanics for a week. When they're at a third-party mechanics, they are empty of fuel. And Valley Fuel is investigating who had the ability to have their trucks, and the owners of Valley Fuel promised us that their trucks would never be parked overnight in any residential neighborhood in the village of Dansville ever again. And
Very
we're
good.
sorry for what happened. If you check I gave you paperwork, our zoning law does say, though, that one commercial vehicle, marked commercial vehicle, can park overnight in a residential neighborhood. So like Joe Longini can park his truck overnight, but his truck is not a fuel truck. The particular problem with the Valley Fuel one was, okay, does that have fuel in it? Is it a bomb? It was empty, and it was out of the control at that present time of Valley Fuel, and they are investigating it. We'll take all necessary actions. They're very apologetic and actually were very surprised when I came to them.
Very nice.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else? Anything else?
Any updates on new business, anything coming to town?
I actually spent an hour at the old depot today.
I'm glad you
on
brought
Bath
that up
Street.
because I heard something today about you
I've
being
heard that
down
for a
there.
while.
Yes. The Acom brothers purchased it. They own it. And they are hoping to get a site plan to me for showing, just to start with a site plan, because they do want to renovate it, but also put an addition on it. And they have to get a site plan to me to go before Village Planning Board. They're hoping to get a site plan to me, month or two tops. They want to put a brewery in. And the building, I know if you drive by, you're going to say, really, they're going to do anything with that? I walked through it today. And besides the pitch and poop, 6 inches thick, it's in excellent shape. It's a post, they've already had an engineer go through it and everything. It's a post and beam construction. Other than some posts have moved over time, it's all repairable. They can literally are planning on ripping it down to just the post and beam frame, securing the foundation, and building back in, and then putting an addition off the middle. They already have, plans for me to look at. I was very impressed, and I'm hoping that turns into a very positive thing. That was excellent. That, and as you know, for June's agenda, the planning board will have site plans before them for the addition of the hospital.
There is an issue with that property. I spoke to you about it, Pete.
Yes.
About the
Yeah,
property
Doug
lines.
spoke to me about it also today, that where our Seward Street is versus where their survey of the property shows Seward Street's supposed to be,
Who are you talking about?
it's off.
It's not Seward Street.
Or Spruce Street, I'm sorry, Spruce
Okay.
Street. Spruce
Okay.
Street is not lined up with what the legal survey of that property shows. So have already he said that Skur's office is already been hired to
Into it.
fix that, to do what's necessary to fix it so that their legal property lines line up with our existing Spruce Street.
We on them or they on us?
Both.
Both?
Both, yeah. Yeah.
This is
we're-
the corner, front corner.
One
The
end is
fire
on
department is
them and one end
screwed up.
is on us.
I'm sure we can resolve that. It would be nice if they could move that one end of it back away, if somehow we could get the road away from the building. I don't know if there's much room to wiggle there, though.
I
Up the
really,
ambulance
really,
company.
really tried to convince them to buy the entire triangle of Franklin, Spruce, and Milton. and expand right down into the triangle. But I didn't get a response from them.
Tammy, who owns the blue, the old restaurant north of the theater? It's got the plywood over the front.
That would be Howard Burroughs, and a violation was sent to him
Okay,
in
because
regards
that
to the
plywood
plywood.
looks terrible and needs to come down. How often is glass put back in it?
Yes, that is Howard Burroughs. I don't know if you have experience with Mr. Burroughs.
Yeah, I know.
A citation or, a violation letter from my office was sent to him, both certified and regular mail. He has not responded to either. He has 30 days to respond to any violation notice I send. 30 days is not up yet. It won't be up till beginning of June, the first week of June. But he hasn't even signed for his certified letter yet.
He stopped in late last week, I think it was last week, wasn't it, and said that he was under the impression that his tenant would be taking care of that sometime this week. That was his impression, so.
There's an actual tenant there, Charlie?
Supposedly there is.
We sent a letter to the guy back in November when the window got broken, making him aware that, we appreciate his prompt attention to fixing it, so on and forth. So, and then Tammy sent out the violation, and Howard stopped in, I think it was last week, and made comment that he had touched base with the tenant, and the tenant had told him that he would take care of it this week.
That does not excuse Mr. Burroughs'
Yeah.
law. It's ultimately the property owner
is responsible.
I think he was just giving us a heads up that he was attempting to try to get some compliance from the tenants.
I don't have a phone number or an address of the tenant, so because my law reads the property owner is ultimately responsible, I didn't contact any
For the
tenant.
first of the month, you have Mr. Burroughs' address, so. What I'm saying is let's not.
When the 30 days is up, if he doesn't do anything,
Yeah.
then I have to turn it over to our village attorney to move forward with it.
I have a question. We just, and we had a meeting before this meeting, and in regards to the castle on the hill. And I don't want to go into detail on it, and I'm not sure if any of what was said or portrayed in regards to the process or whatever with the castle on the hill. Could you, between now and our next department head meeting, could you kind of look into, and you probably already have, and have some sort of an action plan if any of that stuff should be put in place to force someone to do something with that building, whether it be the fine system or whatever? Could you set up an action plan for us so we can look at what our viable options are moving forward with that building?
We're already doing it with 48 Perrine Street.
Okay, but I wasn't a part of that process, so I have no idea. So is there any way by the next department, I don't want to take up tonight, we got a long night, but can you put something together to show us an action plan of what we can do to try to rectify the condition of the castle on the hill with the owner? With the current owner?
Yeah.
Is that?
It's a couple quick bullets. Once they don't respond to me, we have to
Well, just put it together so they have it in writing.
Yes.
And then we can, if we need to take action on something, we can.
Yes.
Please and thank you.
Not a problem.
Anything else for Tammy?
Everybody got anything else for Tammy?
No?
Just a comment to follow up on what Trustee Rittenhouse said. If you have that prior to the next meeting, provide it to us as soon as you have it, so we have an opportunity to kind of look at it and give it some thought.
Like the other stuff, yes.
Yeah.
And if you drop it in our mailboxes, at least let Megan know so you can send us out a message to let us know that it's there. We'll stop in and pick it up, please.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what she did with the other ones too. Yep.
Thank you.
Anything else? Craig?
Yeah, don't really have anything. You got our report. We're drying out, so we're trying to dry out Saturday, but at least we didn't cancel the parade, so.
It was raining so hard my umbrella was leaking. And I'm not kidding.
Mrs. Mark made that an easy decision as she had her bands all lined up and ready to go. It's 5 o'clock, so there was no decision whether it was going to be canceled or not because she already knew that it wasn't. So she started right out at 5. So. Outside of it, I don't have anything, so.
I do have one item.
Can I comment before you
Sure,
do?
go right ahead.
Because it's on the parade. It might be worthwhile to send a letter to the school or the band leaders, just to thank them
Yep, I will.
under the duress of the weather that, you know, they moved forward and participated, you know.
It worked out nice, it was a good job.
And I seen a lot of kids having fun playing. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
even though it was raining, I seen a lot of smiling and kind of like, you know, what are you going to do? We're going to march down through here in this
Yeah.
rain?
You could share it, you know, with
Yeah.
students.
Yeah. I mean, it was great.
Yeah.
And even as Mrs. Mark walked by, she had a smile on her face, and she just kind of threw her hands in the air, and it was nice.
Yeah. Thanks, Greg.
Yeah. Nice job.
Okay, I got my one item here for Greg. It actually involves Scott as well. I received a call today from Ron Buter, who lives up on the corner of Clay and Prine, the old boathouse up there at the white one. And he understands the problem with the flooding. He says what happens is, every year when that does occur, it sits down there on Prine Street and it dries out, and then the trucks come down through and kick all the dust up onto his, the houses there in the intersection. And I don't suppose we have access to anything that can clean up it immediately after a storm like that.
That vac truck I've been after for a while.
What about the brooms? I gotta say that one.
I was anticipating that too, but I got a solution. I've got a solution, I think, if we can get the cooperation of the fire department and maybe get up there after a flood incident.
It was
And
1
maybe we
o'clock
can-
last night, and I was actually thinking about calling Greg, but
They come down and they can wash off the street enough so that when the people clean their houses, they don't have to clean it every other week.
It's not a big area.
Something tells me these storms are going to be a regular occurrence until we get things straightened. It isn't going to help.
I don't think that'll be an issue.
Did it come over and all the way down Clay Street, or did it come over the Prine Street Bridge, correct?
no, it all came down the way.
There's a lot of
But
rain.
it all puddles right in the intersection of Clay and
Yeah.
Bryan.
And then when the water runs off, it leaves a fine silt there that turns into a nice dust.
That's what I was wondering when I came through. It's like, what happened here?
Have we done
Yeah,
anything
I'm very
about-
familiar with that intersection.
Have we done anything about an easement for them cricks or anything?
We've gotten some easements.
Have we?
Yep.
Actually talked to John Vogel again today about Mylan Kaiser's old place. He's going to look into that and see if there's something we can do. There's another, Dr. Wetterall, I think, lives on the other side. He's interested in that property, so maybe we could do some kind of a joint venture to get hold of that and at least fix that one little spot that bugs all the time.
Is it where it was underneath the ground there for a short distance?
Yep, just in front of that.
That is a lot more shallow now than it's ever been.
It needs to be dredged all
Yeah.
the way up through there to
Yeah. As a kid, it was a lot, definitely deeper. But there's still only
Shorter.
We can get into those things when we get to Scott. I just wanted to check on that one particular thing. So I'll tell Ron what our plan is. I'm assuming, though, that we still need to get up there sometime in the next day or two to clean that up. So if we could coordinate between the fire department and the DPW.
I got drills tomorrow night, so.
Okay.
Just shut the road right off there for a little bit. What time did you drill, Greg?
7.
7?
There you go. That's a short-term fix. I'll call Ron tomorrow and let him know what's going on. Okay. Back to, guess we're done with fire. Anybody else have anything for Greg?
Thanks, Greg. Ambulance, I don't see
No,
anybody.
Jerry's not here.
We have the report.
And I would like to bring up one thing of the ambulance, and just for the record, is last month I seen a bill in there for some service work done on the ambulance that was done in Livonia. You know, and the way I look at it, if we're going to have service work done on our ambulances, why don't we get it done locally? You know, I feel that the buck should be spent locally rather than take it out of town, so.
Unless it was something that couldn't have been done local.
Pardon?
I'm not sure what the exact,
Something about a rear door and painting, or,
I'd have to check on that.
Yeah, sure. Like I say, with service work like that, if it can be done locally, I'd like to see it done locally.
I agree. Definitely support our local businesses.
And I guess, Chief, you're
I'm up. I don't have any one thing overly important. I guess the only question is briefly mentioned last week, does the board have any interest in trying to start this new car purchase sooner than later? If the bill doesn't come into, well, there's no way it would be billed before June 1st. But I guess if there's a vehicle out there that meets our needs, it's on state bid and so on and so forth, is there any harm in going after it now versus waiting till 2 more weeks? I don't even have time to think about it, but if the time does arise where I have an opportunity to have some conversations and see what's out there. I mean, we're kind of in a tough spot right now from the standpoint that the 2015s probably are on the lot, probably aren't any leftovers laying around, and the 2016s probably haven't come out yet, so it's probably really not going to be a productive point of calling. But by some slim chance, if they're out there, if there's a 2015 that's out there, or as soon as the 2016 starts showing up, can I move forward on buying the car that we budgeted for?
It's the same one that we have, the newest one?
Yeah, I'd be looking
State
at
bid is the same?
That's not state bid. I'd be looking at the same model, I believe.
I talked with with some of the officers, and some of them expressed interest in having they have the sedan version of it, which I know is cheaper, and I know that that was what their request would have been, was to have a sedan. It's still the same platform, all-wheel drive. It's the identical same chassis. The difference is you take the SUV off from it and you put a car on it. And just talking with them, their interest was that, just because it was easier to maneuver, smaller, not as big. Have you looked at anything like that?
We did last time around, and memories are short. I'm arranging with Eric Osgain and Geneseo PD. He's got one of each, and they had the car, and then they bought the utility. And right now, his guys, the last I spoke to him, are leaning to going. When they buy another one, they're leaning away from the car back to stay with utility. I know when I drove both, the car is tight. Utility, as you guys know, you're 8 inches wider as soon as you put a gun belt on. And that's not even putting the computer in the car. Once you put the computer in, it just confines you even more.
Well, the computer actually mounts in the passenger side and comes over, so it would not restrict their legs anymore.
No, not the legs. It's just, it's funny how I predict this for the last 5-6 years, but it hasn't happened yet. But I see it coming. We have carpal tunnel problems with office computers, and we're all concerned about proper seating and angles of the wrist and all that. But yeah, we have a police officer hunched over and leaning to the right, typing on a computer. So that day is coming. So I spoke with Eric and Geneseo, the chief in Geneseo, about having the guys come over and test drive for a refresher, both of his vehicles, because he has one of each. As I recall, when we bought the utility, that at that time was actually $1,000 less than the car. It doesn't surprise me that it's become so popular that they've reversed that pricing. And I would have to suggest it's probably popular because of the comfort of providing enough personal space for not only average size, but maybe larger officers. So I would like to keep the options open for both. Plus, it was beneficial once upon a time when we had Crown Victorias through the whole, we just rotated equipment right from one to the other. Whereas, the equipment in the utility is not going to fit in the car is not going to fit in the utility. So I'm not against, obviously the officer's satisfaction is a big part, and it matters because if officers are comfortable, they're going to be more productive. But I think it's important to give them a refresher as to exactly what they would be in for 8 years. So I wanted to take the opportunity for them to go over there and see both vehicles, and then when the opportunity presents itself to have a shot at whatever one we decide on, that they're making a really, I think it matters what they say, what their thoughts are. I think we need to have the potential going either way.
Did you set up a time when you're going to go over and see Eric? Because you were just asking the board if you could do this 2 weeks earlier And now you want to exercise the time for the guys to go.
Yeah, I want to research the opportunities as to whether there's any vehicles out there that are leftovers. And, I guess it comes down to this. If I call up XYZ dealer and he says, yeah, I got a leftover in the lot, and, it's $3,000 savings, maybe it doesn't matter whether it's utility or car. Maybe the money is what speaks then.
I know right now by state bid, the car is $4,000 cheaper.
Do that much?
What's
And
the model
also
of
when
the
you
car?
look at, not to interrupt you, but also when you look at it, you have to buy 2 cages
Right.
for utility and 1 cage for a car.
Right.
Because
And
you have to corridor off the back of the utility, where in a car you only corridor off the front of it.
Right.
And you also can get them so that there's no console, a lot of things you can set up differently in there for
It's a
utility.
vehicle that we run for 8 years. So right now, the car we just bought is costing the village $500 a year. Pretty reasonable expenditure. So even if it was $4,000 more, we definitely do a good job of saving the village. So to get the officers in something that's provides comfort for productivity, I would be a fan if they were, you can say evaluate both models. If they were leaning towards the utility again, I would be a fan to provide them with that. Again, giving them an opportunity to kind of re-educate themselves on both models.
Yeah, I just had 3 of the 5 tell me that they were leaning towards the sedan. And especially a couple that were utilizing the vehicle that's going to be going down the road.
I just think right now they just haven't had a good opportunity to know why they want one over the other, as they haven't had a choice to drive both yet.
I think $4,000 is a pretty good idea.
Well, I like the idea of making them happy with what they want, and knowing that once they make the agreement that that's what they like, they're going to live with it, as the chief said, for 8 years.
Yeah,
I mean, $4,000 one way or the other it's an expense, but as the chief said, $500 a year is also not a lot.
What model is the car? Is that a Ford also?
They're actually
Yeah, they're
Taurus.
Oh, it's a Ford Taurus.
Yeah, the motor, the transmission, the frame, everything exactly the same in both units. They just put a different body style on depending on your preferences. And going on with the market dictates right now, it would appear Sheriff's Department plus utilities
And we bought the others as well.
as well. Yeah. And Genesee's bought one of each. Now they're leaning towards the utility, but so I thought the guys should drive both just to get a feel for what they think is the most.
And Eric, is he willing to have one of his guys come down here?
Yeah, the guys are over there for enough for court to stay by.
Anything else?
Well, if you need the car, obviously you do. I say go ahead and research it out and see what's out there. And let's just do it and get it done off our plate.
Right.
There's really no way that we're going to come up with any, even if someone said there's one out there tomorrow, it's not going to,
So it would take a little while.
yeah, it's going to take a while.
Anything
I guess
else?
just,
I have one item on the speed on Pine Street. It also came up by Ron. He was saying that trucks are going down through there, and people in general driving faster than the speed limit. Of course, we all know Pine Street's a narrow street, no shoulders, and sort of tunnel. And you will, you could be driving the speed limit and feel like you're going, or appear to be going much faster than that. But I was wondering, have we made any effort to get that gizmo from the county?
it's going to be on the list of conversation today, but other conversation didn't.
Well, do that.
Yeah.
But also, take a look at these little speed things that people have at the entrance of their villages, or specific speed zones that will give you the speed limit, and then it will say what you're going.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what we need.
Right.
You mean like one of those trailers or something? Is it
No,
one-
no, this would be like a permanent item.
post.
Post
Yeah.
mounted.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Those one I see.
Permanently mounted.
Street in Geneseo.
And you could have it, we could have, depending on what they would cost.
Maybe like 3, but I can check.
Yeah.
Like 3,000, but I can check.
That's, I can't imagine going too much over the speed limit on that street, given the size of the street and the fact when you're coming down the hill, you got to make that turn. Especially if you're a tractor trailer, that's a hefty turn. So you can't be going too fast, but maybe that's what we need to take a look at. So a lot of times that catches me to, whoa, 5 miles over the speed limit coming into a village. It's quite a bit. Yeah,
I will
please.
say one thing with 45 compared to.
That makes it a lot easier, doesn't it?
Makes it a lot easier, yeah, yeah,
Coming down the hill?
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't see so many police cars sitting up there anymore.
So now you got complaints of speed on Pine Street.
We've just shoved it down the hill.
I don't think anybody predicted that.
But it has received positive response. In fact, today coming back from Rochester from the funeral there.
They've been speeding on Pine Street for years.
Yeah. Coming down through there, it just seems a lot easier to slow down to 30 if you get at least that 45 in there for a good chunk of the distance.
Yeah, I agree. Anything else? Village Court, we have the reports.
Got those last week, didn't we? Yeah. The only thing is, do we want to discuss any further the issue of the court security, or did we already sort of resolved that last
I
week?
was wondering, I was going to ask the chief how it worked out the other day.
Well, Wednesday was our court day, so nothing happened on that day. 'Cause that
And
was
tomorrow's Wednesday.
What's that?
And tomorrow's Wednesday.
I thought we had 1 week in between.
And I went down and experimented with it a little bit, trying to adjust the volume of things right now. And there's nothing obvious on the machine that indicates volume change, and there's nothing obvious in the instructions that we printed out on volume change. We're trying to dig out some more specific directions to see if there's anything on that. And obviously experiment with that, raise some questions. Realistically, we'll experiment with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I have to be honest with you, I'm not comfortable with the officer in that position. I mean, the person who's most susceptible to assault, who's the least able to defend herself, it's a physical assault that person's most susceptible to.
Who was that?
The
Clerk.
And obviously the least capable of fending someone off. We'll experiment with it at the door, but at the end of the day, a weapon is always an issue. But the person that comes unglued at the desk, I think, is a higher probability. And clerk's desk is lower, so if there's one that's going to be scaled, it's going to be hers. If you're going to go around to get the judge without scaling over the desk, you're going to go left or right. That's a 50-50 chance that it's her side, not the other side. At the end of the day, I got to be honest with you. My opinion, 30 years in this job, the officer's position is at the desk. If there's a officer, it's at the desk. That's the best place for it. The direction is obviously otherwise, but I just want to go on the record that my advice, should things go to pop and something ugly happen there, I'm explaining to the board that my official position is the officer has to be at the desk. And we will experiment at the door. We'll do our best.
I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that philosophy. That I think the highest chance of anybody having an issue would be when they're closer to the court or to the bench. The problem is that, or the concern that of the security and whatnot, and the transferring of papers and this, that, and the other thing. My feeling is, again, that's something else that we keep pounding it. Get done with it off our plate. Put an officer in there, and whether he just stands there and picks his nose or does whatever, and pay attention to who's coming and going out of the courtroom, and forget about handing the paperwork back and forth. That's the clerk's job. And as I said the last time, I've been in there lots of times, and it's just a hodgepodge of this attorney up to the bench and this attorney up to the bench, and the defendant over there, and somebody yelling back there, and that stuff is up to the judge to handle. That's not up to a police officer or a security court officer to take care of that. That's up to the judge to keep order in that. I mean, one guy at a time. How hard is that? And it's always been that way, because I think that it's a open door, come as you come, come as you go, but that's my take on it.
Yeah,
and the officer's got to stay there.
When I was in there, I noticed the same thing. I noticed the same thing, that 6-7 lawyers in front of the thing at a time, and people walking around, and I think that having the lawyers meet with their clients out in the hallway, and when the judge calls them up, they come up.
There's 2 rooms on the other side that can sit and talk to their clients. So,
But the judge wants him at the door to make sure that no one comes in. I'm sure his safety concern is for his clerk as well. And I think that at this point, to go over the hump and make sure that we're giving him what he wants the door handle. And if there's a problem, then the officer is at least closer than being up on Main Street to respond. He's right at the door. He's still only a short ways away.
Haven't we committed to that?
Yes.
Then we have a conversation and say
Yes.
we're going to move forward
Yes.
in that direction, so I think that says it all right there.
I would only add, are we not, those...
That doesn't mean we don't reassess it, but we've committed to at least, providing that level of security at a location and with the equipment, and we've got, pretty much an agreement for everybody on the board. That's the direction we want to move in, so let's move in that direction. Once we get there, we'll reassess the situation if we need to and take a different direction, but we've committed to doing that.
Right, I agree.
First of all, we're reading into this, I think, more than is actually happening. My understanding from last week when we talked about this, well, we're not decreasing the number of cops in there. We're just putting the emphasis on the door. That means you're still going to have 2 cops there most of the time.
Well, one's assigned to the road and one's assigned to the court.
Yeah,
so-
but what I'm saying, most of the time, the 2 are probably going to be there unless there's a call. So a lot of that stuff at the desk is still going to be covered by a cop.
right.
Unless there's
But
a
if
call,
one
then you'll
leaves,
go
the
out.
other guy goes to the door.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, we seem to think that we're just going down now to 1 cop. We're not. Not completely.
Right.
It'll be a catch-can with the second one, but we still got another cop there.
Is there any part-timers in the wings or anything like that can be utilized rather than with overtime?
Well, like I said, right now, we spend 2 hours a week on overtime, $80.
How many other shifts a week do we have that are covered with overtime?
Sunday afternoons,
And
and
how many hours is that?
6.
Okay.
And then I work a 12-hour Monday, and so potentially there'd be 4 hours there, and then Officer Schaefer comes in at 6, so there's 2 hours there. So there's potentially another 6 on Monday, of which we're paying for 2, the other 4 we're not paying for.
2018.
Well, if you really look at what we're paying for an additional 10 hours overtime a week.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now when Judge Work changes his hours to earlier mornings, there's going to be that 2 hours will probably turn to 5.
So now we'll be jumping that up another 3 hours, going to 13 hours a week.
If 2 hours on court will probably turn into 5 hours. We'll have to bring a guy in early at 7, so we won't have that overlap anymore. We will have moved the overlap down.
We only have 1 part-timer on the books, and how many positions do we have? The part-timers?
10.
And
Obviously.
do we have anyone in the wings that could be a potential hire to cover shifts? On a regular basis, if a guy takes a day off, it's covered with overtime, correct?
Depending on the day, it could be, yes.
Is there a possibility of any part-timers in the wings so that if that guy's off, we're actually not going to pay overtime for that shift? It would only be straight time to a part-timer?
There has been folks that have applied. There's probably a couple that would be worth evaluating,
What's the process behind the evaluating?
going through the whole hiring process, and seeing what their availability is.
I mean, because what I'm looking at is with all of our officers, our 5 officers plus the chief, if any of them take the day off, then it's filled with overtime. Where if we had a couple of part-timers, we're not going to pay whatever an officer is at a time and a half. You're going to pay a part-timer that position to come in, and it would be a savings to the village. And I think that since how we're talking savings, we need to start talking savings across the board, and looking to see what viable options we have for covering these shifts.
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays are Thursday, Friday, and Saturday is no one's day off, so everybody works. So if someone takes a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, and historically, if someone wants time off, it's going to be a Friday or Saturday, sometimes a Sunday.
So that they take it off, you just fill it.
We just slide people around.
Look into part-time.
I mean, to cover the overtime.
Yeah.
Just a thought. I don't know how the rest of the board looks, but I would like to venture into the thought of, covering some of that overtime with a part-timer.
Yeah, basically, a part-timer, depending on their level of training from wherever else they're working, assuming they're working someplace else, you're looking at a number of weeks of field training.
140 hours or 160 hours is a state minimum.
Yeah, it is. It gets their feet wet, and a couple $1,000 for a uniform. So you're usually looking at 4 or 5 months of 20 hours a week to get your initial investment back, and then after that you start to come ahead of the ballgame.
Unless
I just don't want anybody to think it's like a...
Unless they've met their full FTO program, it can be, because they have been FTO'd by the state, they can actually have a modified FTO program because they have met the state requirements.
Right.
We can actually get them in here for less hours. Some come with their own equipment, such as their $800 vest. Some come with their other equipment, so it could be a lot less than $2,000 in all them hours.
All depends on who it is.
And again, that would be through the process of seeing who's available and what they have and everything. I'm just looking all out. I mean, if we're going to look at costs and cost savings, we need to do it across the board.
It doesn't cost us anything to go out there and see if there's anybody in the community that's
Exactly.
interested.
And
I
to
mean,
look.
we just go out there and see, and this is a starting point.
Yeah.
And I think within the police fields, if part-timers who are in other agencies find out there's part-time positions available, they may seek out the village. And I agree with the chief. I've talked to him before in regards to this, and his philosophy was to not go out and look for people. If people were interested in work, have them come here. But if it puts it out there that there's possibilities for work here, the door may start getting knocked.
Full-time or something.
Yeah.
Just my sense. So I would like to look into that, cost savings measures, and weigh it out for the future.
Add that to the list.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a police department list of a police department function, and that's what we'd like to see. I would like to see. I don't know if that needs to come into motion. I don't think it's a board resolution, but
Just needs
We're
direction.
constantly collecting applications, so that's not a problem.
do them applicants, when they come in, do they go on a list that can be showed to the village board or anything to
Yeah,
see who?
I just keep the whole folder downstairs.
Can we get a list of all the people who are applicants here, please?
Anything else? We're all set.
Budget, finance, and audit. Trustee Labar.
Are you going to
Greg, you have a good one.
All right,
Thank you, Greg.
Are you going to start with the budget mods or come back to them?
I just need approval. You guys received them last week.
There's no changes.
Nope.
So, guess we just need a motion then to accept the
And
modifications that were
I can do
submitted.
those tomorrow and send you updated reports for April.
I'll make a motion to accept the budget modifications per list provided by village clerk.
Okay. We have a motion by trustee Labar. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Humphrey. Discussion? Trustee Whitenack?
Aye.
Trustee Labar?
Aye.
Trustee Rittenhouse?
Aye.
Trustee Humphrey?
Aye.
Mayor's an aye. Motion passes 5-0. Okay.
Under special billings, general, Osborne, Reed and Burke, legal fees, $7,891.65. John Bogle, legal fees, $2,712.56. Underwater. MRB Group, engineering services for Chapel Street well, $8,514. Osborne, Reed and Burke, legal fees, $1,251.75. Under sewer, Bernard Donegan, financial services, $139. Wastewater treatment plant capital project with composting, MRB Group, engineering services, $20,558.86. East Coast Electric, payment request number 3, $19,665. Streeter Associates, payment, request number 2, $481,175. Crane Hogan, payment request number 21, $261,557.92. Bernard Donigan, Financial Services, $711.60. Under the Housing Rehab Grant, Tama Development Program Delivery, $2,295.97. Griffith Construction, draw 7-29, Mill Street, $600. Griffin Construction, draw 7-34, Jefferson Street, $4,800. Cassidy and Underwood, draw 7-22, Van Campen Street, $450. Cassidy and Underwood, draw 7-25, Bank Street, $23,300. Move to approve.
Motion by trustee Labar to approve those special billings. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from trustee Whitenack. Discussion?
Yes, just real quick, the engineering service for Chapel Street well. I did see that in there, and I was just wondering what that was.
That's up in Perkinsville,
Yeah,
our
I knew
wells.
our wells, but what was that for? I mean, what do we do with the wells? I don't know.
That is, right now we've had a problem with the pumping system up there.
So that was the feed for them to give us the ideas of how we're going to move
I was
forward.
hoping I'd have quotes for you tonight, but MW Controls didn't get the quote.
Okay, but that was what we talked about like last month or a couple months back. I heard when I was in the audience.
Yes.
Definitely the next committee meeting, we'll
Okay.
have that to discuss
Great.
and then vote on that.
Okay, that's all.
There is no other discussion. Trustee Humphrey?
Aye.
Trustee Rittenhouse?
Aye.
Trustee Labar?
Aye.
Trustee Whitenack?
Aye.
And the mayor's an aye.
Under bills, general, pay checks number 14,580 through 14,603. The amount is $37,233.10. Audited checks in the amount of $83,865.47. Under water, we paid checks number 533 through 539 in the amount of $53,365.47. We audited checks in the amount of $72,387.80. And under sewer, we paid checks number 476 through 482 in the amount of $48,544.60. We also audited checks in the amount of $59,506.46. Under ban and bond payments due in June, June 21st, 2015, rural development, serial bond for water storage tank phase 1, $45,000 principal and $25,875 interest. Under MedX billing account payments, Livingston County EMS, May payment of $4,050. MedX invoice 2015-5, $1,430. Patient reimbursement of $200. Village of Dansville April payment $6,457.36. And Dansville Ambulance April payment $9,686.03. Move to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Motion from trustee Labar, second from trustee Humphrey. Discussion? Hey, trustee Whitenack?
Aye.
Trustee Labar?
Aye.
Trustee Rittenhouse?
Aye.
And trustee Humphrey?
Aye.
The mayor's an aye. And just as an update, no, I have not checked with Karen Dooley yet. But
I seen her today.
I'll get a hold of her this week. Okay. And anything further, Megan, you want to discuss under that particular committee section? Or you want to wait till we get down there and start talking about the other stuff?
You had on here for the due to, due froms, down towards the bottom.
Yep.
And that should be the only other thing
Okay.
that I'm reading on.
Okay. All right. Being nothing else, we'll turn over to trustee Humphrey for Public Works, Water and Sewer.
Okay, Scott?
Clay Street, are we, any more discussion on Clay Street? We're pretty well set.
You didn't hear about any flooding, or any basements were flooded or anything, as far as you know?
No.
Assume we haven't heard that there weren't any problems.
I would really like to pursue that one little section. If I have to maybe use some CHIPS money to repair that, because that's just, it's been going on for as long as I can remember. And if we could rectify just that, I don't know, 75-foot stretch, I think it would be advantageous. So I'll look into that, bring you guys some options, and move forward.
Just back up a second.
Yep.
We had that discussion with MRB back, and they gave us that report. I haven't seen any follow-up. Didn't we ask them for some follow-up on that?
We did, and I haven't heard anything. I don't think there was a lot of options at this point.
I don't think we really had any options at that point. Only that we needed to do something.
Again, I think it comes back to option one is running another pipe down Clay Street and maybe diverting some water upstream, but that's not going to be easy to do, to get it to Little Mill Creek. It'd be nice to do that, but I don't think it's possible with the elevations that are existing. So we need to deal with it down here, and we need to deal with it somehow, get that stretch fixed. If you have a major flood, we're going to have issues all the way up through, but that one little spot is just a huge issue. So we'll look into that and see if, and really that house of Kaiser's is the bank owns it, so.
And they're doing nothing with it?
Apparently not, just sitting there.
They're just sitting there paying the taxes on it.
So if there was some way we could get some movement on that and get an easement, that would be huge. Because we need to get into that property. There was some complaining on the NISEC lot on the grass getting kind of out of control down there. I did talk to a lady at NISEC, and she said that they will get it handled. So if there's any complaints or whatever, that's going to be set. The Hydradyne vine screen is up and running. It's back. It seems to be doing a pretty good job. It's not producing a product yet. It hasn't made its way up the chute. So to see the actual finished dried product, we haven't seen that yet. They said about another week before we would see that. So before, it didn't take that long to come on up. So it's definitely doing a better job.
So more of the stuff is going through the screen that should
More
be
of the
going
stuff
through.
is going in the gas yard tank.
The logs.
Is that the thing you had, the wooden thing that you showed me the one time when we were down there?
Yeah, that's gone.
Okay.
The screen's back. It seems to be doing a good job. But proof's in the pudding when it comes out. We'll take a look. But I think it's going to work fine. So that was probably a good investment. You have some other things on here for the workshops for water and sewer rates. I can let you take care of that, Pete, if you would like to.
Okay. This is something that you sent me an email on, Mayor, and I'll get on that. I'll participate.
Oh, yeah, that was for
Committee.
the, what was that on? That was on the laws,
Right.
water and sewer
Oh,
laws.
yeah, right, that's my,
Yeah.
sorry.
I guess what I need, I'm not sure where I put all of that. Lost in this. No, I've got it right here. I just trying to figure out where I put it. Anyway, the items we got right here are authorize ad hoc or an ad for committee to rewrite those laws. So that's just a straightforward ad. Get out there, get some input. Scott would be on the committee, Karen would be on this committee, and Robin would probably act as the chair, and I'll certainly be liaison with the board. Karen knows the ins and outs. She's been working with this stuff for years, so she'd keep us all honest. But if I can just get a motion to authorize an ad, we'll go forward and see if we can get some community members involved.
So moved.
A motion from trustee Whitenack.
Seconded.
A second from trustee Rittenhouse. Any discussion?
How many members do you think would suffice for that?
I'd probably want to get at least 4 from the public. Want to get a little bit of everybody, business as well as residential.
Okay.
Trying to think what that would leave us as, that'd make a committee of 7 altogether. I think that's probably more than enough people. You don't want to get too big. Okay. So, trustee Humphrey?
Aye.
Okay, trustee Rittenhouse.
Aye.
Trustee LeVar?
Aye.
And Trustee Wozniak? Mayor's an aye. Thank you. Next one, we need to get moving on the water sewer rates so we can set up a presentation to the public here before our next billing. Sooner the better. When would you like to meet?
How long the meeting's going to take? I mean, I think you've seen the information.
If you want to start, we could do it, since we have the one meeting the week of the regular meeting, we can have the other one the week of the department head meeting. Like, I don't think it will take a whole lot of time. I think.
So we're talking the 10th.
June 10th, correct?
Would it be possible to get together a little bit earlier than 6?
I'm fine with that. If you want, I don't know what you folks, with the ones
Are you
with full days.
anticipating additional time needed?
It's just an important topic. I don't know how much time it's going to require or need, but I certainly want to leave enough time for a thorough discussion. I mean, not that we couldn't come back to it.
I mean, we meet the next day or later on in the
You know,
meeting.
we
depending on- we can try to keep that meeting that night short.
We could do that.
And if we have to come back onto it, then we'll
Sure.
have the time to do that.
Whatever you
Okay,
want.
why don't we
Fine
start
with
then
me.
for 6, and then we'll see how everything's going.
And that's on the 10th.
On the 10th, yes. So we're going to show up an hour early for each board meeting. That way we just room 2 nights rather than 4 or 5. We hope.
I'd like to make a suggestion or proposal also.
Mhm.
I've gotten a lot of information from Scott. Scott's got a lot of good information along with Karen. So if you're looking for something before that meeting, let Scott or Karen or myself know. Scott originally, probably ultimately, but to make sure we've got the information we need.
It might be wise to have Karen sit down.
I think we should have her here.
I did get some information from you, Megan. Was there anything else besides that little bit of information I got in you?
I
Regards to
had
the
just
rates?
given you Paul's rate study,
Yes.
I believe. That's what you'll be looking at, along with the budget, the projected revenues to set the rates.
And I don't think that Robin has a copy of what I'd asked for.
I put it in Robin's mailbox as well, back
Okay.
Okay, you
a
got it.
while back, but I have more copies.
I have
Okay, you got it.
it. Yeah, it's in there.
Perfect.
Okay. This next item I have on here is late notices DDSO issue. That's the Finger Lakes DDSO, the homes here in the area. We have 2 of them who have been late in paying their bills, which is just for information at this point. And they were notified of that. They paid the bills, but they did not pay the late fees, saying that they aren't required to pay them. The reference they gave us, citing why they didn't have to do it, was completely bogus as far as I could tell. It has nothing to do with the issue. What was that about? It was something...
I looked up the law also. It had, I don't remember
Well-
now, it was so long ago, but it had nothing to do with what we were building
Yeah.
for.
And so I've had John Vogel take a look at that and see. He was going to go up the chain and see who we could talk with and find out. We've never had a problem with this until the state reorganized this particular division. And now we got some bureaucrat someplace else who's...
How late were they?
About a month, wasn't it? Yeah?
What would the late fee be that were out?
Oh, I forgot.
10% on whatever the balance is.
And John told us to hold off shutting off because obviously with this particular clientele, you don't want to have a problem. You could end up with lawsuits.
And I was just looking at the amount we're going to spend towards the legal end of it as compared to the other.
Well, over time, if we didn't collect it, it could be a problem. Yeah, it might pay to, check on it now, pay the money up front, so that we avoid that down the road, or not. Maybe either
As
is.
far as we're aware, we can't waive late
Yeah.
fees.
No, we can't. It's against state law.
I remember that from last month. Someone was asking for it.
We talked about, I don't know, it was only last week, but we talked about the school being, the athletic field at Babcock Park being metered. Is that something, are you going to look into that? Are you going to meet that meeting?
Oh, yeah, we're going to take care of that with the school.
And the mayor was going to meet with Dr. Eliotto in regards to all the parks and recreation.
I just didn't know if that was set up yet, that's all.
All the stuff I haven't done yet.
Okay.
It's on the list.
It's on the list.
Speaking of list, can I finally get a list of the, well, not to keep beating a dead horse, but it's like every other day, someone asks about what went to auction, what it was sold, how much, and the profit that we made. And you just put the list in my mailbox.
I think you should have gotten that stuff last month, or was it the
No,
last meeting?
No, we didn't.
We never got anything.
Okay.
We never did.
Yeah.
If anyone else did.
We made $14,000.
I copied the check to you and to Scott. I
Okay.
can put something together. That's fine.
If you want to write it down, Robin, I'll tell you in short order. I'll tell you right now. If you want to try
I
it
can
down.
do a list, Scott,
Okay, we can
so
do
that they have
That's
it to
fine.
reference.
That's it, all I have.
Okay.
And speaking of auctions, Amy's car, we can take that up to the auction. The last one, what, cheap, 900? I don't think hers will bring 900 or it's a little, but you guys could put a price on it. It's a low if you'd like. And we could just run it through and get rid of it. We never, they never charge any fees or whatever, so it's whatever it brings, the village gets. So,
On the back of a tow truck or otherwise?
I think if you take a little
Does it say we have to get through?
Do we take the...
Twice today on Main Street.
And she can't sit in it.
Ignored it.
Yeah, you take it through, because you know how to get her.
I know how to ease it onto the accelerator so it doesn't sound like the transmission's going to fall on the ground.
I guess you'll have to drive it through.
If need be.
Okay.
Okay,
do we need a motion on
I'll
that?
second it.
Did you make the motion?
Well, no, we've
authorized it.
already authorized that as.
Well, that was to a different auction.
No, that was Tammy's, it was Tammy driving it through.
No,
Tammy, you're going to go drive it through?
There goes our $500. We just sold it for $150.
we've already declared it surplus back in January or whenever it was. We did that and authorized it. We just didn't take it, so it can still go. I don't see we need another vote.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
So moved.
Unless somebody's objecting, wants to vote.
Are the tires good on it, Charlie?
Does the village clerk need a car?
Was the
Before you get there, the mayor doesn't either.
The deputy mayor is looking for one.
He's ridden in it. He doesn't want it.
mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
Was the resolution before for the Lions auction, or was it? Was that specific?
I
Or
believe
was
make
it
a new
just
one.
was it just a general, we consolidate an auction?
I think it was to that one auction, because I was at that meeting and the resolution was made to send to certain stuff, so we can certainly make another resolution.
Go ahead. That's
I
just
make the resolution, or, sell it at the auction. As long as it's 100% profit, that way there's no signs of
Okay,
impropriety.
we have a motion by trustee Rittenhouse to sell the code car, the current code car,
Don't be sad,
at auction. And do I have a
Do you
second?
guys want to put a minimum on it?
Oh, it's only, do you want to?
We don't want it back.
Well, there was talk about advertising it for sale, so.
Whatever we can get for it, we'll take it. I don't think we're going
Don't pay for the light.
Stand on the other side and bid it out.
to. Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Whitenack. Any further discussion? Trustee Humphrey?
Aye.
Trustee Rittenhouse?
Aye.
Trustee Labar?
Aye.
Trustee Whitenack?
Aye.
Mayor's an aye. Okay. Public Works. Trustee Rittenhouse, streets.
Yes, we have on here to discuss for lights for Highland Ave.
Yeah, we were talking about that last month.
I spoke with a couple of people who mentioned that there was maybe a couple lights that were over an intersection that already had lights in it. I don't know if there was any truth to that. Maybe down near
Subway?
at the end of Knox Street. Supposedly there was some lights, a couple lights over there. I said, well, I'm hoping the Scott would know about that. Maybe there was some lighting put up down there for the estates, and yet we have a light over top of their light. And I didn't know if that light could possibly be moved, if there is 2 lights in one area, if that light, so we didn't have to purchase another one, I don't know,
Well, they put lights at county when they did the bridge, they put lighting, and there is 2 that are very close, but it's an actual street light and then the decorative lights, if that's what you're talking about.
it was someone brought it up to me, I never had a chance to get out and take a look at it.
But I don't think I want to remove the other ones are more decorative than they are productive.
And they're really only for the pedestrians and not help
Okay.
with traffic.
Is there I did speak with 2 of the residents that were up there who said, we don't want lights. So, I mean, I guess there's probably a mix. I spoke with 2 of them at Rayburn last week on Thursday, and they mentioned that they didn't want lights up there. So, I mean, there is some people who probably do, and now there's a couple who tell me that they don't. So I don't really know.
Have them come down and drive a police car, too, while they're at it. See which ones they like.
Try to be serious here, gentlemen.
I was.
You were. I'm not talking about you.
So I don't know.
Somebody keeps thinking he's at the Lions Minstrel Show.
No.
I already mentioned the ad tonight. Is there a cost between if we wanted to add, say, I mean, I just don't see a reason for adding lights all the way up Highland Ave. But in that residential part, I guess I don't see a problem with adding a light. I don't want to go crazy. But also, there's people up there who, a couple of the residents who said they didn't wish to have a light. So I guess it's up to the board what they want to do, I guess. Or Scott, do you have any insight on that?
It's dark. I think you could see
Especially
a few
late at
lights.
night.
Especially when the sun's not out, right?
Yeah. I think the beginning part of it should be lit. There's a lot of houses.
Where the
in
houses
beginning,
are.
That kind of.
But I think where the road used to be, have the chain across it, it kind of goes to less traveled there. And I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't think we need to light it all the way to the water treatment plant. We don't want to give people the access to let's walk it at nighttime and get up there and jump the fence. But I'm not against adding a light. It is our street, and the town was nice enough to give us the roadway to save us a lot of money in taxes over the years. And I think a light is a small thing that we don't really want to get into a match with our local, our neighboring governments. That's just my take on it. It's easier to put a light up and be done with it than it is to hash it over for the next 4 years.
Oh, after where the road used to end, they're down by Bobby's place. How many houses are out there beyond that now? There's Al Herrick's,
2.
and there's what's it called, Hussey's.
Hussey, yeah, and Hussey's a long ways out, and again, that would be lighting it all the way to the almost to the water treatment plant, which we're not looking to invite nighttime
What I'm
traffic.
saying is one of the people who was complaining about lighting actually lives out there.
Mr. Hussey.
No, Herrick.
But I think if we go to that last driveway, I think that might be, is that Chad Carlini's driveway? I think if we put a light there on that pole, that would kind of give a little bit of light to that area. And, we're trying to help.
We're just going to add one light.
Why don't we take a look at it? Maybe Charlie and I could run up and just take a look and see. He's my uncle. But I hope possible.
Charlie really doesn't want to get involved in that. One light. I take a ride up and look at it with you. More than happy to. I think that it's something that me and you
will be over in an hour. We'll run.
I think me and you should go up and take a look at it.
Up there while it's dark out.
You're the street guy, and I'm the street guy, so we'll look at it together.
You should install it, too.
I have no problem. Give me a bucket truck, and I will install it if need be. But I think we can also then we can look into the price of it, what it's going to cost us to put it up, and then we can bring it back to the next meeting. How's that?
We should have the cost from the one we moved down in Earl Drive. We had one there we moved.
$2,000?
No, it was only about $140, I think. But that's because we didn't have to purchase a light. We had when we moved
Maybe
it
we
from one
can talk to
point.
them, see how we're going to be paying for that light to be on. Maybe they could, help us out. Does that sound feasible? We can talk with them and see what it is.
We can talk.
And we can come back next month. And anything else on the street department on your side, Scott?
Nope.
Did you get down a list of what jobs you had this year? And we talked to the last meeting in regards to.
But I'll email it to you guys.
Okay.
Just gotta sit down and do it.
I'm gonna take a good 2 days straight, you know?
Well, not for that list, no, but for like Knox Street pricing and things, I'll have to bring that to the next
Or
meeting.
even our little jobs, and what jobs we check off every year that we do, like painting Main Street, the parking thing. And the other thing I was thinking about is we had discussed the parking situation down there in the grass in Babcock Park. That grass area where you come in, a lot of traffic goes in and out of there, and if it's damp, it tears it up. I noticed I drove through there and it was torn up again. One thing I thought of is do we have a striping machine? And what would the cost be to stripe the parking lots down there to basically put in the parking at Babcock Park? Because if we didn't salt it and stuff in the winter, it's probably not going to tear it up the way it does Main Street and our side streets. Would it be a huge job? And it probably is. I answer my own question, but to stripe parking spots in there, to try to direct people to where you would like them to park in our park, as compared to just having an open lot.
The problem is they don't want to park there, they don't want to get hit with a wall, that's our problem. So they park over in the grass away from it. That's what my suggestion was with you, Danny, is to remove that grass. There's nothing there anyways, there's 2 maple trees. Remove the maple trees and make that little area a parking area. Then block off the other area with some, whatever, rocks, poles, so people can't just shoot right across that area.
Can you work up a price of what that would be?
To do that little area?
Yeah.
There would, I mean, we have millings and equipment, so
We just gonna make it a milling pile? I mean,
Martin?
what's it gonna be? Just a bunch of rock? Millings?
We would mill it and roll it, it would be just basically like blacktop. Do it in the summertime.
Like you got down at the park.
Right, and that was just roughed in, it hasn't
Yeah,
been finished
yeah.
yet.
Is that a possibility? Maybe before next spring we could do something like that?
We can do it at any time.
Well, I mean, this year it's kind of shot now, but I mean that's something we could definitely look forward for next year. Because I agree with you that
They're going to park there anyways, that's unless we fence it all in.
is that a drainage swale between where you come around where that parking is, all the way down?
It does drain down through, so you'd have to kind of leave a swale there.
So we could take that other park and make parking all the way down through there.
What other part?
You know where right now there's the bumper, so no one can park in that old grassy area to the right as you're going towards the fireman's pavilion. Is that
On the
something?
right, there's not really room, I don't think, it drops right off. I mean,
Yeah, that was what I was talking about for the drainage swale. It was kind of
Where are you talking, where the rotary trees are?
yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Rotary trees are there.
I wasn't sure if there's trees up there. I was just wondering if
Down
additional
that,
work.
that line, that median.
But
not the median route, on the other side, behind the houses, it would butt up to the houses,
Yeah.
backyards.
In the house.
They used to
Whoa,
park-
whoa, this isn't a big, one person at a time. Trustee has the board, has the table. He's asking the questions.
No, I just wondered if that was a drainage swale. But there's some trees down through there. Must be there. So okay. No, I was just wondering for additional because if we put in just some parking areas there, there's not going to be a ton of room for cars, as many as that park in there. But I do agree, it does look horrible with them going in and out of that grass area, and that's a nice. That's our park. We made parking areas for all the rest of the places. I mean, if we can put in a little bit there, and I like that idea.
And I can look at the other area to see if we can fill it and park it down next year.
I just don't want to take down any trees that are there to negate away from that. Eventually, those trees will come up and kind of give those houses some blockage from there. Okay.
Okay. Parks and Recreation, Trustee Rittenhouse, you have anything other than we just talked about the park?
Kind of made it all one. We'll just set up a meeting. You're going to set up a meeting with Dr. Eliotto in regards to the use of the parks, the mowing
What their
of the parks.
contribution is going to be or is, or what they understand it to be?
And I know June 1st is around the corner. Are we?
And if we're going to do that, then we probably should address the watering issue right with them.
Yeah, all at once would be a good idea. And then June 1st is around the corner. Is that all set and taken care of and everything for part-time help and all that?
As far as hiring help?
No. There was some that were still on this year's budget that are not allotted into next year's budget.
And he's going to be very missed because I'm going to tell you right now, that my full-time employee, there's no way he's going to keep up with what that old feller does. But that's for another topic. He does a heck of a job. I don't care if the man's 90 or not. He's a mowing machine. I'll tell you, just go out and see what he covers in a day. So, but no, I have not hired anybody else.
No, I just wondered if that conversation had been had yet, or,
With Walter?
yeah.
It's gonna be tough to see a girl named crack, I'll tell you. But there is a safety concern. He is getting old. So, it's decided, so we'll move forward.
Okay, the authorization to advertise for a Parks Garden Committee, Tree Committee, whatever you want to call it. Haven't really come up with a solution to that. This would be people to take care of look at the trees on Main Street in our parks. Planners. What we might need for our parks, what people might want. Basically a park commission.
I do know of people who have been on the social media sites looking to get involved to help pick up the parks and do stuff like that. So once we figure out how we want to move forward with this committee, I can definitely go on that site and let them know when it is if people would like to come to get involved. Because if they're looking to help, then we want their help.
Yeah. Needs to be more than just the five of us.
And Don Hamler.
Okay, so if I could get a motion to go ahead with an ad, I'd appreciate that.
So moved.
A motion by Trustee Humphrey, second.
Second.
Second by Trustee Rittenhouse. Discussion? Okay, Trustee Whitenack?
Aye.
Trustee LeBar?
Aye.
Trustee Rittenhouse?
Aye.
Trustee Humphrey?
Aye.
Mayor's an aye. Thank you. And with that, I really have nothing for technology this evening. Anybody else have anything for that particular area or any questions about it?
What is the board's stance on the possibility of going with a paperless type situation? Because, I mean, just over the course of 2 months, I mean, it could be something to be a savings for the village long term with all the paper that we're printing, ink, and everything. I mean,
Well, Megan and I have talked about that. And,
I'm doing
some stuff
that.
she could do right away.
I'm doing a free trial with Microsoft right now for cloud services and shared folders and whatnot. I just started it Friday. I don't know any quotes or anything, but I'll let you guys know what I
I just think
of
it would be so much easier if we were able to just file things electronically and be able to bring a laptop and get your stuff, and as the things come up, you can put them in our folders and stuff. I just think that it would be advantageous for all of us to be.
I would prefer that as well.
Save a lot of time and run back and forth copy.
Yeah,
It
and
would
well,
save a lot of
we
time.
get
Some
a
of
lot
these
of
documents
documents. I
are
mean,
great.
you're going to get your late documents straight as the meeting comes up, but a lot of the documents along can just be shipped out, and then there they are. And
Some are pretty voluminous. This would certainly cut down on the use of paper. Wouldn't take care of it completely, but it would
I'm in full
minimize it.
support of that. I mean, it's just.
I'll try it, no problem.
Sure.
Let's see what Megan comes up with and
We'll look back the next meeting.
give it a trial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say this, though. We talked about once before about maybe everybody then having a notebook or a tablet or something that they could use. The problem I found out, we talked about this when I first came on the board, and then everybody wanted a hard copy anyway. It defeats the whole purpose to go through all this evolution with software and everything else if we're just going to turn around and say, now I want a hard copy.
Yeah, what's the sense of doing it?
Well, I'm just telling you,
Well, you got-
that's what's happened in the past. The people
Right.
were all wanted to do this before, and then turned right around and said, I want a hard copy.
Well, they have a right to go
Print
home
it
and
off.
print it off.
Well, that was the way I
They have a
looked
part
at
of
it,
my
but I'm just saying, that as long as we're under that understanding that we're not going to do that, then I would say, let's put the effort and energy into it.
Yeah, I'm 100% for it. I mean, all of our code laws, if we're going to do the codifications, things like that can all be shared in there at your fingertips, not trying to haul this stuff around or trying to figure out what happened. We can just certainly click on a month's meeting, and there's what the agenda is, there's what we went over, our notes, they can all be in there. I just This is hard to try to, I mean, and
Oh, it is.
you guys have been doing it longer than us, but it's just overwhelming to like, well, how can you find
And
anything?
the more you do, the more stuff you got.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing whatever it is, and we'll move forward from there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we're moving on to unfinished business. I'd like to have a motion to proceed though beyond 9 o'clock.
He's got 2 minutes.
So moved.
Motion by trustee LeBar. Second?
Second.
Second by trustee Humphrey. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We'll continue on. Okay. Accepting the Bonadale Group audit. I have a motion to do so, please. I think everybody's had a chance to take a look at that.
Yes.
Okay.
So moved.
I have a motion by trustee Whitenack, a second.
Second.
Second by trustee LeBar. Discussion. Not hearing any, I'll now take the vote. Trustee Humphrey,
Aye.
trustee Rittenhouse,
Aye.
trustee LeBar,
Aye.
trustee Whitenack,
Aye.
and the mayor's an aye. Thank you. Motion passes 5-0. Okay. Administrative fee for all late notices. Could I have a motion to apply a administrative fee for late notices, not to exceed probably $2? I think that's what the town's doing.
I make a motion.
Have a motion by trustee Rittenhouse. Second?
Second.
Second by trustee Humphrey. Discussion? Not hearing any. Trustee Whitenack?
Aye.
Trustee LeBar?
Aye.
Trustee Rittenhouse?
Aye.
And trustee Humphrey?
Aye.
And the mayor's an aye. Thank you very much. Passes 5-0. Okay. Need a motion to approve the building lease with the town.
So moved.
Have a
Second.
motion by trustee LeBar and a second by trustee Humphrey. Discussion?
Is there any talk about taking a look at this parking lot out here?
Which one?
The one out
On the side?
on the side here. Work with the town and come up with some type of agreement that Scott and I was talking the other day about doing something with it, you know?
Dick, that was, when I was on the town board, there was a lady that fell in a pothole
Yep.
out there.
Yep.
Well, we paid for it
Yep.
Okay, and there was discussion,
because it was on our side.
yeah, and there's like a fine line there somewhere, but the rest of it belongs to Mr. Scurro for the, if he's,
Which-
does he still own home?
He and Fritz Griswold own it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that was.
And we
yeah.
rent it from him for $1 a year. So technically it's ours. And that
Okay.
I know the town has not been interested
Yeah,
in doing anything with that.
so,
Even though probably the bulk of the people coming to this building do use that side. At least for the DMV, which is really a town issue. But
So
But it is a mess. It's
it
a-
is.
Yeah.
You know,
the village leases the property for the town hall in which we rent.
Yes.
Lease
Yes.
the property.
Yeah.
That just sounds
But that's not
backwards.
just for the town hall, though.
What's it for?
It's for any use in this area. I mean, it's a general parking.
municipal lot.
Yeah, it's a municipal lot.
I understand, but the building that it really is a
The town
municipal
does
lot
not-
for is the town hall.
Yeah.
But the village, who has to lease the building to use it, well, that sounds backwards.
That's because the town owns nothing around this building.
I guess we don't either.
No, we
No,
own
we
the
do.
back
We own the
Oh, we own the
back.
back parking lot?
Yes,
We
we
own
do.
the back.
Perfect.
Yeah.
There was talk about redoing all that years ago. a few
So
years
the
back.
side we lease,
That's be part of the park committee,
Okay.
why don't we just
probably.
kind of tell our village residents to park out back?
They don't want to walk that way.
We don't want the
We've had that
responsibility.
We've had that discussion.
Yes.
We're here for them, and the responsibility of that parking lot, if it's not in great shape, is, it's going to be more.
This discussion has taken that course before.
Oh, yeah. Several times.
And how's it ever end?
Don't do nothing.
Or is it just like everything else we've seen, where it just kind of spirals until it just fizzles and rolls out the door?
Brings it up next year, and we talk about it, and again.
So do we pay the $1 every year?
Nope, we've never paid.
We are way ahead of the curve. After 100 years, we got $100.
I want you to understand this.
Scott, can you do Knox Street with that $100? No, but the money that we pay out in the lawsuit, we could do Knox Street with, I'm sure.
Exactly.
That's the point.
Yeah.
The issue is providing a convenience for people who want to park over here, obviously.
They go to the DMV. A lot of people park on this side.
A lot of them come in to us as well. I mean, there's no way you could say who's using which door.
If we didn't lease it, what would they do with it? It would be up to whoever the owner is, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then the town might want to lease it.
I doubt it. I seriously doubt the town would.
If we didn't lease
We have two
it-
former councilmen here. What are your opinions?
Town's not going to lease it.
They're not gonna lease it.
If we didn't lease
You want me to think about it? Town's not going to lease it.
Give me a few days, I'll get back to you.
And then people would be forced to park out back.
yes.
Only if the owners over there decide to enforce.
How much would an
the parking.
insurance rider be? I mean, I just think of the thought of someone falling down in the village
Or
paying a
getting
hefty, or getting hit or something, and that you step off that sidewalk and boom, someone gets hit, and then it's the village's responsibility to pay
I'm going to
whatever.
bring up. This is the way mindsets are. We've had this discussion before. We've had board members here who have made that very point. Guess where they always park? Right over there.
Yeah.
I'll park out there if no one, if you'd
I don't
like.
move my car.
Intermission.
And the lighting up there too.
I had no idea about this, so I mean,
You know,
And the lighting, you're right, the lighting.
Yeah.
that's what's the horrible part. Yes, Charlie.
My understanding too, that if that parking lot's not rented by some form of municipal government, then the only way into the parking lot out back is in and out the back.
Mm-hmm.
This
Well,
right away.
Ego Alley, you can come in Ego
I'm not
Alley.
sure about the ownership of
was
the
this
alley.
called Eagle
Or
Alley?
not
No.
Ego Alley, I'm sorry.
That's exchange.
Exchange Alley, I mean. That's good. You can come in that way, and you can go in and out off Ocean Street. But if we don't rent this, you can't turn in here or out here.
And neither can the town or the townspeople.
Correct.
Right. So we lose that right away to the parking lot out back.
Can we split it with them 50-50? We'll pay 50 cents, they pay 50 cents?
They pay
I'm looking for liability coverage. I mean, that's a huge liability. I mean, Scott, what's your take on this?
I'd like to see it paved. I plow that, that thing's a mess.
Do we have a right to use CHIPS money on that?
That's a good question, I would have to call.
I mean, because that's a
don't
huge thing.
I think
because-
we need to make an assessment of the local
But-
roads before we commit any money to that parking
And
lot.
I'd
I
also,
agree with you. My question wasn't in regards to what we're doing. My question
Well, that
was,
was a valid question, I understand.
CHIPS money could be
If we
used.
could.
I also want something else to be borne in mind here. Most of these parking lots in the village, we do not own. We lease to others.
Which two do we lease?
We lease the one over there behind the credit union. We lease part of that.
Which is nice.
That's a real hodgepodge over there. And I'm not even sure if we lease anything over, actually, the one behind the theater and everything. Is that,
I think we own it.
We own that.
you own that one?
We
Okay.
own that.
But not all of it.
No, not all of it.
Yeah, St. Mary's.
Not all of it,
We
because,
only own like a
St. Mary's
little
has
strip right behind the movie theater.
and the part behind the one building belongs to Mr. Burrows.
Correct. The part
Yeah.
behind the Maxwell building.
The part
belongs
that
to
looks the
Mr.
worst.
Burrows.
Well, I don't want to beat this up all night, and I guess we do it what we've always been doing, but I never realized we leased that for $1.
Sorry to bring it up.
No, it's like Pete said, you know, maybe that could be, I know it's a parking lot, but why not make it part of the topic of the committee for the Parks and Gardens Committee? Something to talk about. And you're-
Maybe we made
you're
it part
in
of the sewer department.
There's no storm grates over there.
Yes, there is.
Oh, yeah.
It's going under sewer.
Every storm
Because there's
sewer.
no flowers over there in blacktop.
Park gardens and parking lots.
Under budget finance.
Dick, we're onto that subject of parking lot. I turned that over to Marlo on the fence. He's supposed to contact all his neighbors and come up with a plan, what they would like, just so, an update.
Oh,
Thank you.
That one's been a long time.
yeah.
He hasn't approached me about it lately, and I haven't brought it up, so I'm glad that.
Okay, did we vote on the building lease?
I'd make a motion,
Did we have a motion or anything?
Yeah, I made a motion.
He made a motion. He made the second. So we've just been discussing.
I've just been overwhelmed.
Okay, and Dick got his way late here. Took that divergence there off to the side on parking lots. Okay, having beaten that one to death.
Okay.
Trustee Whitenack,
Aye.
Trustee LeVar,
Aye.
Trustee Rittenhouse,
Aye.
Trustee Humphrey,
Aye.
and the mayor's an aye. Next item we have is employee pay raises. We had discussed this a little bit last week, but there was one subject that we wanted to go into executive session, I believe, in.
Correct.
So I would entertain at this time a motion to go into executive session.
So moved. For discussion of employee pay.
Yep.
Second.
Second.
And a second by Trustee Humphrey. Who was first? I think Robin was. Whichever. Don't fight over it, please.
I'll meet you out in the parking lot.
Don't go there.
Which one?
You'll fall.
Not near the pothole.
Hey, Dick's got a record. Be careful.
In that parking lot. That's good. Tammy, are you going to
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Who has the
I want to
second?
discuss one other thing.
Robin.
I just want to bring up Nicole. I want to bring up 117 Main Street. What can we do about that place? How do we get rid of it?
Thank you, Chief.
We can't get rid of it, but I can cite them for stuff, and then if they,
Garbage is still in the front. They're freaking hanging. What can we do about hanging on that front stoop?
there's nothing,
Actually, I don't think you have a record yet.
there's nothing, there's nothing, really, so I can
Okay,
get
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
BR 549.
But I can issue violation notice.
Yeah.